Got a little bit too excited there. Okay. Hey everyone, this is another movie review from the Tash and Tabs YouTube channel. Tashi is here with my co-host.
Tabs, hello people.
Hello beautiful people. Tabs, how are you today?
I'm great, yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. Hope the audience is good too.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be reviewing Pig, the 2021 film starring Nicolas Cage, Alex Wolff, and it was also directed by Michael Sarnowski, and it's his directorial debut.
Ooh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool film to get Nicolas Cage in your first kind of feature.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
Yeah.
Anything else before we kind of jump into this, Abdul?
Not much. When I look at it now, from after watching the cast is actually quite small though. It's actually like a really it's a small movie. It's like a small budget movie, but the premise behind it is actually really good. It's a when you am I going too ahead? Am I jumping too ahead? I'm not too sure, but like the whole premise of the whole movie is quite heartfelt and it's a good film movie. You know, it's quite slow paced, but once it gets to its points, you're like, oh man, that was great. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
how I'll call it.
Yeah, I think the premise, especially like the way it was kind of advertised, it almost looked like it was going to be like a John Wick movie with
Almost,
Nicolas
yes.
Cage getting revenge for his pig.
Yes.
I almost felt it was like that. So it's kind of it was fun to actually watch it and see that it was very much not like that.
No, that's very true. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, even the pig itself, I know it's the whole premise of the movie, but how many minutes does it get in the whole movie? It's like probably what 10 minutes max. If I'm even stretching it to say 10 minutes, because you get it at the beginning, right? And then boom, 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 it gets kidnapped and pretty much you don't see it anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That's pretty much how the film starts.
Yeah.
So
the whole premise is not really about pig itself, about the pig. I think it's just the journey to discover the mystery behind Rob, who he was, why he is why is he where he is at the moment, and where is he gonna be once he finds where he is, kind of situation.
Yeah, dude, that was a good setup. Dang. Okay. So I guess that's how the movie kind of starts with Robin Feld, who's played by Nick Cage.
Yeah.
And he's just pretty much, what would you call him, like a hermit in the woods?
Is that what they call those kind of people? I don't know.
I think so. He's just detached from anything.
Yeah.
Only thing that he really has of technology seems to be like a boombox. And then he's there with this truffle pig. And he just pretty much hunts truffles with the pig and sells them to Amir, who's played by Alex Wolff.
Yeah.
Who's great in this film.
Yeah, very good. I think I know Nicolas Cage is the main actor, but I think for a supporting cast, I think Amir did amazingly well. I really enjoyed his performance.
For sure. Yeah, he really especially to act against Nick Cage in a lot of the scenes, he does like a great job.
Yeah.
And Amir is pretty much just a middleman who sells the truffles. And they don't really have a connection at all. So yeah, then the connection kind of gets forced upon in the next scene where Nick Cage's pig gets stolen from him while he's living out in the outskirts. A car comes up, steals the pig, and Nick Cage gets knocked out, which is kind of funny because in the earlier part, Amir mentions like, you know, if you're out here in like the wilderness and like you like fall or like die or something, no one's gonna know except for like me, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like a one. Like, dude, would you ever do that? Like, live in the woods?
I mean, I would love to experience that at least a few times. Like, I mean, I've been to a cottage before, deep in the woods a bit, and that was fun. That was great. Like getting away from people and actually going on hikes and being closer to nature. That's good, but I don't think for like years being in there is healthy for you. And not even even if you're in there, not even trying to really interact with the outside world. That's pretty crazy. I don't think I'll go that far. Would you?
Yeah, dude. I've always said like I would love to live in like a cabin in the woods, you know, foraging and just on my own. I think it'd be fun.
For like like for a long period of time or just for vacation or
for
something?
a long period of time. I think
Whoa.
it would be pretty chill, dude. I think I would be down for that.
I mean, I'm down
So
for the farm life, but not like the
yeah,
cabin life. I don't. I think there's a difference between those two, right?
I'd probably still maintain myself a little more than Nick Cage in this movie. I would try and
He literally
keep
became a
my
hobo. If that's offensive, I'm sorry, but he literally became a hobo. One thing I found
yeah
strange was that some scenes he seemed like a average looking man, and some scenes he seems fat. I'm like, what the makeup direction behind it? What's happening? Because in his jumper, he kind of looks normal in some scenes, and some scenes is like when he's wearing the whole jacket, it looks quite humongous, and I'm like,
big yeah. That's an interesting kind of mention because it is kind of weird. Because sometimes he does look like he's like a big dude, and then
yeah.
sometimes he's kind of more just like normal Nicolas Cage kind of
Mm.
slimmed down. But yeah, then after the pig gets stolen, they pretty much go through different avenues to kind of find out who stole it, and they end up finding out that it was just a bunch of like what do you call them? Like stoner people.
Yeah, even that
That
whole
ends up
scene didn't make sense. You know, when I rewatched the movie, it became I was like, that's weird because the lady who they go to, who's like a boss and controls her, has her own truffle scene. She gets all
yeah
paved up and she's like, "Oh, where are these people?" And I thought that was gonna like bridge an arc for this lady, but it was all hype for no reason because she gets pissed off. She gets there to offer them water and they have a quick conversation. Boom, she's out of the movie forever. I'm like, so what's this whole intensity moment you're giving us with this person where our arc is so short, you know? Anyway, but again, maybe because the movie is like it's a low budget movie, they can't expand too much on it. And
yeah
like I said from the beginning, like I think it's quite a slow paced movie. So if they try to expand more on that lady's connection to the world of truffle, maybe people have got like, why do we need this person? But yeah, that was a bit
yeah
weird. I found that scene like it was cool looking at it. Then hindsight is like, I don't know if that was needed per se.
yeah. I think that kind of just was. It was kind of like a cloak and dagger thing because it kind of reminded me
Mm,
of like John Wick too. When the guy goes to like the person and the person like helps him find the person that he's supposed to kill or whatever.
yeah.
I thought there was gonna be like a revenge scene, but then it kind of just gets a little intense and then it just dies down. And you find out it was just a rich guy that paid him to steal the pig.
Mm,
And then Amir's kind of just like, okay, that's it, right?
yeah.
Then Robin's like, yo, take me to the city. I'm gonna find out who stole my pig. Um, and it's weird because Amir and Robin they still don't know each other very well at all,
Yeah, at that point,
and
yeah.
Amir straight up thinks that Robin's just some dude in the woods that just happens to be able to find truffles really well.
Yeah.
Um, but then what happens, of course, is they go into the city in Portland. Amir is pretty much the chauffeur, and
Mm,
they end up finding out in very interesting ways. They go to like an underground club, and that kind of ends up being like a fight club, kind of for
yeah.
people to beat up, um, like
Yeah.
people that are in power. I guess head chefs
Yeah.
get beat up
That
for
that's
money.
that the whole movie is like different, and to be fair, it has different parts too. So maybe that makes it make sense because it
Yeah,
gets to a whole point where you get the feeling, like you said, Fight Club vibe to it, where this toxic men or quote unquote they call them toxic masculinity are trying to get off their rages towards their bosses and like punching the hell out of them for money. Like it's
hmm
like, wait, why is
it's
that? I thought it was gonna when they were going underground. I thought it was gonna be like this underground tougher underground scheme thing or like
pig.
chef
Yeah,
battle
trading
thing,
den.
yeah, training den thing, market stuff, but it ended up being like a what fight club scene in there. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Then he writes
and
his
then in
name
that
all big too. Sorry to interrupt you, but he writes his name all big. I'm like, that is wait, what's that supposed to mean? Does that mean he used to get his ass kicked a lot there? Like, yeah, you know what? I was hyping this movie a lot. I wanted to get an Oscar, but now we're watching it, and I want to be more critic on it. I think there are a lot of flaws in it, in my opinion. Sorry.
yeah. No, it's true. I think it's definitely one of those movies that just has like a great idea and great performances, but
Yeah.
then when you really kind of buckle down, it's like his first movie too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So we
but
can't
for
be
his
too
first
harsh.
movie for sure, like I like
Yeah,
if that's your first movie and that's what he can put out, that is amazing. For his first movie for sure, I'm actually excited to see what this person directs next because if he can do that, then the future is definitely bright for this person.
yeah, for sure. And then yeah, so then pretty much what we find out is Robin is like a very famous chef,
Mm.
but then he was a very hard chef, and people don't like him, and that's why that one chef pretty much was someone that worked for Robin and beat him up for
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
And then the movie just kind of moves on into a part where it kind of this is where the movie kind of slows down and gets less
Mm.
intense. Amir and Robin kind of go to his house and they just kind of get to know each other, which is a nice scene.
Mm.
Um, they just like this is when like the relationship between Amir and Robin get
Yeah.
close. Amir kind of shares how Robin once made like a great meal for the parents,
Mm.
and that was like one of the few times Amir's parents really
How
were
they were
happy.
happy? Yeah.
And then it kind of also just foreshadows a lot of things where Amir's father is now very like estranged from him, and Nick has a few like skeletons in the closet in terms of what he was like as a chef.
Mm. No, that's really true. I mean, it kind of makes it ironic because that's the whole premise of friendship, right? Where you share something and you share something, then the bond gets stronger, right? And I think when Amir mentioned his family thing, that definitely, I think, made Rob understand him a bit more because Rob was always not mean, but like really tough on him, where it's like he was just business partners, nothing else. But when he starts
Yeah,
breaking down a bit more, you start understanding more. One scene too that was crazy because it was like pretty much right after that was when Rob goes to this old house where I think he used to stay at, and it's
yeah,
kind of creepy though because he looks like a hobo, and he's coming to this house with this little kid in there, and he's talking to this kid. Like, don't the kids nowadays not understand that don't talk to strangers kind of situation? Like that was a
I
bit
don't
weird
know.
to
It
me
was
though.
a very funny scene, though, wasn't it?
In what sense to
Uh,
you?
and then Robin's kind of like imparting a little bit of like knowledge about food to
Oh
this
yeah,
kid.
oh yeah,
But yeah, just imagine if Nick Cage were to just like come to your place and sit down and
yeah.
talk to you.
Looking like
What a
that,
wild
I
time.
don't know.
Yeah, what a
I
wild.
I mean, my present
Uh,
predicament, I probably will be nice to him, but
yeah,
in my former self, maybe I'll be like, "Hey, what the hell are you doing here?" But in my current situation, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, you know what? Let me listen to this person and whatever." But yeah, that's a
yeah.
bit strange to me. That scene was like, but yeah, it was funny. I get what you mean.
And it was kind of a tender scene because it kind of Nick Cage, his character talks about how there used to be a tree there,
Yeah.
and they talk about like the change of like how time has changed, and there's like a new tree, so he's got to like move on. Kind of, there's
Mm.
like little thematic things I think for Nick Cage there,
Mm.
which is great, and he's really great in that scene. But then the scene afterwards is kind of like one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
I think it might be one of yours too.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
it was great.
yeah, so Amir pretty much finds the lead and finds a chef that's like selling using truffles and might have a lead to where Nick's truffle pig is, and they go to it and ends up being an old employee of Nicolas Cage's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in that moment, they kind of have a real heartfelt conversation. Did you want to talk about that a bit?
I can't remember the full conversation. I won't lie to you, but I remember it's the whole situation where the former employee wanted to open a bar, right? And
Yeah, like a
Nicholas
pub.
Cage, yeah, pub. And Nicholas Cage, to be fair, that was when I started getting like he was at this point he was still using people just to get what he wanted. So he's so crazy. He's like a psychiatrist to a point where he's like breaking down this former employee, and he's like,
Hmm.
"Why didn't you do it?" It's like all these people here don't like you. You know they don't like you. You don't like what you're doing. You don't. And he's like breaking them down, breaking this person down. Eventually, the person tells him what he wants to hear. But I mean, I know you love that scene more, so I probably should leave it to you to explore deeper into it. But that was a great scene. I won't lie to you. The whole breakdown, even it kind of reflects to reality and you looking at yourself and how you portray yourself too. Are you really doing things because you want to do it, or because of other people, or what other people would see or think of you? You know. But yeah, you
Yeah,
go
for
ahead with
sure.
that.
I think that's like definitely one of my favorite scenes, just because it's funny because this guy's like the chef that used to work for Nick Cage. He
Mm-hmm.
was like super successful. He's got like this great like bubbling restaurant, and then Nick Cage just like sees the food and sees kind of through him.
Yeah.
And this is where you kind of get that Nick Cage is one of those people that is like he's extremely like, cold and distant, but in a way
Mm.
very observant and very there is like a human connection he makes with people.
Okay.
Um, and then he just kind of explains to him like yo, he knows so much about him, even though he's known him for just like a little
A
amount of
little.
time,
Yeah.
and he remembers all these things about him, and it kind of helps break down that chef's like where he's really at. You know, he's like, yo, are you happy making this stuff? And then I think the only thing he says is like, it's popular, people love it,
Yeah.
and then that's kind of like it's like a very normal response, right? Like I think a lot of people kind of live like that. They're like, yeah, like other people like what I'm doing, so I like it too.
Mm.
But then Nick kind of just breaks it down in pieces, and he's like, you know, like the critics, they might like you, but they don't really like you because
Yeah.
what you're making isn't who you are. Because like what you really love would have been the pub, and he like almost like takes memories out of his mind, and it's like, you know, like what the food you were gonna serve and everything.
Mm.
And there's just like a great degree of like a human connection in that scene, and even like there's great parts where they cut to Alex Wolff, and he's just like, whoa, what's happening
What's
here?
happening here?
And
He cries at the end, right? The employee.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, he pretty much just he's like
Breaks
keeping
down.
this. Oh, he's acting is awesome too, because he keeps like this very false kind of smile,
Yeah.
um, where it's just like it just like is getting piece by piece broken, as like Nick Cage mentions, like yeah, each day that you keep doing what other people want you to do, or
Mm.
each day you go to bed and you did what you didn't, like what who you aren't who you
Mm.
are, you lose like a piece of yourself, and you keep losing that, and it's going to be harder to get back to that the more you do this.
Mm.
And yeah, then they just kind of have that moment, and then they just drink a bunch of wine, and the chef kind of spills the beans
Yeah. Pretty
and
much.
mentions that it's Amir's dad
That
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 took the pig.
pig. I'm going to like trying to like rumble past this part quickly because it then comes full circle eventually. Because obviously, Rob goes to meet Amir's dad, and you get the whole situation where he tells him, "Hey, you don't know who I am. You better step off here. Take was it 20K you offered him? I think.
He like went from like 20K to like 50, and then he went up like to some crazy number,
Yeah,
and
but pretty much just take this and go away. And I think the whole premise is so weird because Nicolas Cage's character seems like someone that doesn't care about much, but he's still pushing and trying to get this pig right, which I think he had obviously grew a bond with this pig, so he just wants to have someone back. But he goes through all this tremendous stress that he now reevaluates and he's like, you know what? Let me cook for this person. And by cooking for them, get them back to how happy they were, and maybe they'll give me my pig, right?
yeah, and also I think that's the scene where like Robin really realizes how messed up Amir and his father's relationship is,
Mm,
and I think even it's like there's benefits to both sides, but I think he realized like, yo, I can help Amir with his father maybe, while also helping me get my pig back. And then they kind of have that great montage throughout that where Alex is learning about Robin by getting the ingredients for the meal,
yeah.
and Robin is speaking to some of his older cohorts, and they have like little touching moments where they show like it breaks it down. They show like in the kitchen and being a chef, head chef, like there's people that are going to hate you,
Yeah.
that resent you,
Yeah.
and then there's those people that probably learned a lot from you and did things, great things on their own, and there's other people that really appreciated you and really miss you, and think that you're really impactful to them. So I think that's a cool little thing that they do throughout that part. And
Yeah.
then yeah, Robin and Amir come back to the house to cook a meal for Amir's like blood father.
Yeah.
And even in that stage, they do like the cooking montage is like very reminiscent of like a very family thing.
Yeah.
Nick
Him
Cage and Amir are very
teaching
like
him how to
father
cook.
son.
Yeah. 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 I mean, to be fair, maybe because of short of time, we didn't talk too much about the relationship between Amir and his dad. But that was actually a good storyline, the way they bond, and even the whole, because Amir lies to Robin that his mom is dead, but his mom's obviously in the hospital somewhere. So that whole
Hmm.
connection, but obviously it all leads to the most impactful part of the whole movie, which is dun dun dun, your pig is dead. Like the quote unquote crackheads killed the pig even before he got it. He probably would have given the pig back to Robin, but obviously
Probably,
he
yeah, at that
couldn't.
point.
And you just get this scene where Amir's dad is crying, Amir's just there standing, and Nicolas Cage is just wailing out there and in so much pain, and and I actually thought he was gonna kill himself, kind of situation. But
Hmm.
obviously, I don't know if I'm going too far ahead for you, but maybe you bring it back. But Amir like takes him back home, and the part too that I found really sad too was Amir just wrapping himself in his car and like being all sad and cramped up. Like it was, and you could, I mean, the way they portrayed it, if it was a real scenario, you could see how it would have affected those kind of people, And I think that's why I think those actors did amazing. They actually really portrayed those emotions and they feel to the movie. So again, if this is his first movie directing, I think he did some amazing things. Obviously, there's still some things to brush up here and there, but this was great. Anyway, yeah, you can talk about it now. Sorry if I went too far ahead.
No, no, no. That's exactly where I was going to go too, I think. Because, yeah, I think that's the crucial thing because, like, the whole movie leads up to that moment. And then Robin kind of goes through that moment of grief and they do the
Mhm.
scene where he breaks down. But I think that the great thing about the film is, like, when they do go back and they have dinner together or, like, they just go to what's it called? The diner together.
Yeah.
And Robin is still like very sad and everything. But then he eventually kind of walks out of the diner with Amir and kind of takes like a pause and he like looks up into the mountains and stuff like that. And I think at that moment he kind of realizes like, yeah, I can move on because now I have someone else that I can connect with, and that's Amir,
Mm,
right?
mm,
And I think he's able to move on because now he's got like that other connection. He's got someone
mm,
else that he can tell like his personal life to, and not have to really worry about the backlash of things. I think so. He takes that moment to be like I'm good,
mm.
and just makes his way back into the woods. But I think throughout that whole period where it's just like he's walking and they do like the little montage, I think he's like really just coming to terms with grief and stuff like
Situation, yeah.
that.
Because he's
And
been running
Amir
away
is,
from it for a while.
yeah, and I think Amir is dealing with that as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Did we
so
ever
it's like a
did we mention that because his did we ever mention that because his wife was dead? His wife was dead. I don't think we
yeah.
pointed that. We mentioned that. Did we? I'm
I don't
thinking.
think so. No, 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 no.
Yeah,
No, we
but
didn't mention that.
because I was thinking about him, like someone watching this or someone who was watching, is like, why are you not talking about his wife? But yeah, the whole premise because he lost his wife too, right? So I think that got him to detach away from the whole city and just go out there. He gets this pig, gets attached to it. That was gone too. He has to grieve again. But like you said, once he understands the idea of like to get out of grief and actually be better, you have to move on and actually explore yourself more with other people because other people might be going through stuff and you can impact them and help them out in ways that
Yeah,
will make you feel good and also make them feel good. So I think that's what he
yeah,
realizes, but it still dawns on him once the whole movie comes to an end and it's just him sitting down there by himself, like after listening to his wife's play cassette
hmm,
then, and he's just
on a boombox.
sitting, yeah, on the boombox, just sitting there, and you're like, okay, even though he has all that, he's still lonely, and boom,
Yeah,
it
he's still
ends.
by himself.
Yeah.
And I think that's like everyone in a sense. Like you go to sleep and you're alone most of the time.
Mm,
But like he's got, I think he's like one of those people that he needed somebody to live for. So
yes.
when you like mentioned that thing where he could have killed himself, I think if him and Amir weren't like friends or didn't have that deep connection by now, he might have killed himself, but now he has someone to live for, and that's like Amir. They have that kind of bond. They're like, yeah, I'll meet you next Monday or whatever, and we'll do the truffle thing.
Yeah.
But it's still like, yeah, very. It's very bittersweet at the end when he doesn't have anyone to go home to, really.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So all in all, like the movie was great. I think from what you're hearing from both of us, I think we both loved it. Kind of like I liked it. I won't say I can. You know what? I don't want to bash it too much. Like see the other Oscar movies like Tick Tick Boom and what was the one that won the best actor role, best movie, motion picture in the Globes. What was that the Netflix movies? What was that one
What
called?
was it? I can't
Was
remember.
Cumberbatch that was the actor? Can't remember that. But I need to watch that and compare that to this because I'm scrutinizing this quite a lot. But I don't know if the other ones were as good as this. But again, for this first movie, great representation. I'm looking forward to see what else he does. And Nicolas Cage definitely killed this movie. He definitely is back. I hope the next movie he makes, which is pretty much a movie about himself, doesn't crash too much. And Amir is on my radar now, man. I have a lot of respect for him. I hope he gets more leading roles and he actually front himself. Like we did what was it, The Green Knight?
Yeah.
Who was the leading actor for that one? What do you know his name?
Oh, Dev Patel.
Dev Patel. I think Amir needs this. I think Amir needs to get on that same level where he has his own movie because I think there's a great actor in there that needs to be shown to the world a bit more, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that's my last.
He's done a few things. I think he's like one of the leads in Jumanji, a series with.
Jumanji.
And also he was in Hereditary as well. But yeah, there's so much. There's a lot of like great nuggets in this film. I think probably not like a perfect film from like front to back, but like it's just there's a lot of the things that I miss in film are like in this movie, where there's like the roughness, and it's not like there wasn't like a whole bunch of like studio impact on the film. It seemed like it was really just a guy and his vision, and he kind of portrayed it.
This guy's just a year younger than me. But I just searched up his name, Amir, and he's apparently the first thing that came up was like, is Alex Wolff traumatized? And apparently when he was filming Hereditary, he said the movie did about as much damage to me as a movie can do. So I think he went deep, and that movie was traumatizing. It was pretty creepy, but it's one of my best horror movies. It's pretty good. But yeah, he hasn't done much though. I'm looking at his stuff. It's not like top tier stuff. I just want him to be recognized more. I love them in it. I think he has a big future. The Hollywood is quite selective too. It's sometimes like if they like you, they'll push you. If they don't, you have to struggle a bit. But he'll get his shine. I think there's a great actor in there, and I hope he gets his shine.
Yeah, but overall, I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
I loved Nick Cage's performance. I loved the vibe it brought. It's like a movie in a city too. It's like Portland vibe.
Yeah.
The little bit snobby foodies and the little jabs it has at like other cities in that area, like Seattle. And there's just a lot of personal things are in this movie, and I find that's something I don't see very often in movies. Now they're so there's like they're just tested too much, I guess. But yeah, this is a really nice movie, really fun, and it's not what you think, like based on trailers and stuff. It's very much more of a heartfelt thing than some kind of Nick Cage going crazy revenge thing or anything like that. Yeah,
I definitely agree with you on that. So I will say, like, if you also enjoyed this movie, just let us know in the comment section below. Let us know how you felt about Nicolas Cage portrayals. If you are as hype as I am for Amir, I think he needs to be represented more. Let me know if you think his portrayal too was great. I'm calling him Amir, but for Alex Wolff.
Yeah.
If you think his portrayal of Amir was great, let me know in the comment section below. Make sure you leave a like, share the video, subscribe, and any last words, Tashi?
No, not really. I think this was a very fun movie review for both of us. It's kind of wasn't like a huge movie, and it's kind of more, I think, our speed of style of movie, I think, that we review.
Yeah. All right. Make sure you take care of yourself, beautiful people, and peace.
And that's it for another episode of the Tabs and Tash Podcast. Wow!